Hey everybody, welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Ift. I'm going to try to make this intro as brief as possible. If you're listening for the first time, I'm a host of this show, the host of the show. I'm a stand-up comedian who also loves exercise, health, strength, conditioning, nutrition, eliteness, and I do this podcast every week where I interview a different guest around the world when I'm traveling, when I'm touring, doing my stand-up comedy, and we get to the bottom of everything from CrossFit to nutrition to exercise, you name it. So I hope it's entertaining. And it's better than all those other podcasts because we were the first, we were the original, and everybody else followed suit. They might know more, but we're more entertaining, and I ask the questions that you want to ask. That's right. So this week our guest is Rebecca Rusch. Rebecca is a 6 to 7 to 8. Who knows? This woman has more world championships than anyone I know. We're talking more than Tiger Woods, Lance Armstrong, and Hunter McIntyre put together. No, this woman is an incredible human being. When you look at like the women in CrossFit and how fit they are, that's great. They're fit at CrossFit. This woman can mountain bike. This woman can whitewater raft. This woman can rock climb. This woman is a firefighter. This woman is an exceptional person, exceptional athlete, has done great work outside the world of exercise also and competition. She's a firefighter. She made a film called Blood Road, which is unbelievable. I watched the film. You can check it out on Amazon or Red Bull. If you have the Red Bull app, it is a beautiful, beautiful film. Emmy award-winning film. It brought me to tears. It is incredible. It's a great story of her life. The loss of her father, an incredible feat that she accomplished. You really need to go watch it. And the scenery and the cinematography is gorgeous. It's ridiculous. So if I can't express how much you need to go watch Blood Road. So watch it maybe even before you listen to this episode. Turn this episode off. I don't think I've ever said that. Watch Blood Road and then come back and listen because I did the opposite. I interviewed her and then I watched it, and I would love to go back and ask her 1,000 more questions. Also, every week we give away a myopux and a leopard claw. If you're going, what's a myopux and what's a leopard claw? Well, you don't know. Myopux is an electronic muscle stimulator. Probably, my opinion, the best in the business because it's remote. You got a little iPhone that you hold in your hand, and then you just hook these pads up to whatever muscle you want to stimulate. It sends an electronic current. It can do two different things. One, it can send a current to override any kind of pain you have. So it's good for pain relief. And the other one can actually send stimulate the muscle to make it pump, to make the muscle twitch, to actually make blood flow. So any kind of congestion you're having, it flushes the congestion into your lymphatic system. You want to rehabilitate much faster, get yourself a myopux. You also get a leopard claw. How about that? A leopard claw. What's the leopard claw do? It's like a gua sha, I think they call it. And it's like this multi-tool device that you use to scrape. You scrape all the adhesions. It doesn't feel good, but it feels good afterwards, and it fixes that injury. You scrape those adhesions. It allows the blood to get there and flow better and stop that restriction. So what you do, you scrape this out. Then you get your myopux on, use them in conjunction. Incredible. Check out myopux.com or leopardclaw.com. I think they both have their own sites. And thanks to Troy Willis, who does this every week and helps me find guests. So check them out. Our winner this week, all you do, like I said, $5 donation. $5 per month donation. That gets you like $1 an episode. John Donegan. John Donegan, you send us an email at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com, and we will send you out a myopux and a leopard claw. How about that, John Donegan? And anyone else, you want this, it's pretty easy. We don't have that many Patreon donors, so it's a good way to get one of these. I mean, they're $450. What, if you spend $5 a month, what's that cost? 5 times 12, that's $60. And all of a sudden, you've got one of these. It's a cheap way to get a myopux and a leopard claw. So donate. And What else? Or come live and, you know what you can do really nice? Go to, there's a bee on my foot. Get off. There's a bee. It's going to sting me. Go to iTunes. If you have no money, rate, review, comment, and comment. It helps us in the algorithm with iTunes, gets us to the top, because we are the original. We are the original podcast that discusses CrossFit. Get on there, comment, please, helps out the show. And if you can't do that, come out and see me live. I have lots of shows. I'm in San Diego this weekend. All these shows will sell out. I am the 6th, 7th, 8th. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm in San Diego at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. It's a great club, bringing my buddies. We're going surfing. I'm going to be interviewing, I think, CJ Martin, the guys from Move You. Tried to get I tried to get Castro, but he's no longer in San Diego. So we'll have to wait on that one. I want Glassman. I want Castro. I think they'd be great on the show. Mention them. Tell them, go on their Instagrams or on Castro's Instagram. Tell them to do the Wadcast podcast. I'm going to try to get Sam Dancer, too, while I'm down there. I got a lot of stuff to do while I'm down there. I'm training for something. I've got shows to do, radio to do, so hopefully I can do it. Next week, I'm off. I was going to do the Malibu Triathlon, but they're not having me. I'm not a big enough celebrity for the celebrity division. They want soap opera stars. So the week after, I will be in Seattle at the Underground. Brand new date just announced. 19, 20, 21st, 22nd. Come see me at the Seattle Underground. Great shows. Great club. Love performing there. Get your tickets, eddieif.com. October 8th to 13th, I'll be at Reno at the Silver Legacy Casino, the Laugh Factory there. It's a fun place. Lots of shows to come out and see me, Reno. Big CrossFit community up there, too. November 8th and 9th, I will be at the Calgary at Yuck Yucks. Come out and see me there. I've never been to Calgary before. Lots of other dates coming up. I'll be at Harvey's in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. I'm going to be in Alaska at Chilkoot Charlie's. I'm going to be in, looks like Lake Norman, North Carolina. Closing out the year with some fun dates. So check them all out at eddieif.com. eddieif.com. And now I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors that is getting me through. My wife is sick. My daughter's sick. I cannot get sick. I got to work. And so I need to take my multivitamin every single day. And I researched vitamins forever and ever to find out. And this is not just a multivitamin. It's a next level superfoods multi-vitamin. Next level superfoods multivitamin. Okay. It's a combination of superfoods and multivitamin, and it comes from Alpha Wolf Nutrition. Literally no other vitamin comes anywhere close to offering what they do. It's not even the same galaxy. It's a it's more on par with a high-end green drink. Like, you're getting all the natural, all the good stuff, and you can't get all of this packed into one place. Their multi also has a couple of great ingredients to help boost your testosterone levels. How about this? It's got beetroot and pomegranate. Everybody's talking about beetroot. Beetroot is so good for your endurance. It's like taking EPO. So make sure you check this out. This is what I'm taking. And if you're going to take a multivitamin, this is the only way you should be taking it. It's scientifically formulated. It's micronutrient and phytonutrient dense. It aids you at a cellular level. It's got so many things in it that I don't understand, but I've done my research, and I don't think it gets any better than this. So it's got ingredients to promote healthy nitric oxide production for maximum blood flow, circulatory health, and that's what we all need. When you want to recover, that's it. It's dynamic antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties to minimize recovery time, aches, pains. They got all kinds of stuff, though, here at Alpha Wolf. Check them out at alphawolfnutrition.com. They've got a liposomal sleep aid. Liposomal just means that's the way it's delivered into your bloodstream. It's not going to get eaten up by the hydrochloric acid in your stomach. It keeps going. It gets into the bloodstream. So anything you take like that, you want it liposomal. This stuff is you're having trouble sleeping. This has it all. It's got liposomes. It's got melatonin, GABA, L-theanine, I don't know how to pronounce that, and glutathione. All of these things you can check out again on their webpage, which is alphawolfnutrition.com. I forgot to mention they got the Force X7 testosterone booster. If you're having trouble, got some low T, or you just want to get your testosterone up, you want to be a beast, you want to start winning some competitions, get their Force X7 testosterone booster. They're not using all that other stuff that everyone else is using that don't really work. Look at all the other people. If they're using fenugreek or D-aspartic, it doesn't work. Check out what Alpha Wolf is using. I'm going to get you a 15% discount if you check out and use Alpha Wolf. Oh, not Alpha Wolf. Use Wadcast 15 for 15% off at checkout. That's Wadcast 15, 15% at checkout. Okay? How about that? Get your vitamins, get your sleep aid, get your testosterone booster. I think you need them all. I know you guys. You need this stuff. All right. I tried to make that quick. Do everything I said. Now listen to this episode and enjoy. Welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Ift, and I am here in Sun Valley, Idaho, sitting in the sun, with an amazing, amazing guest that I am honored to have. I hate to say that I found her through Bobby Williams, Crazy Bobby, but I did, and this is the type of guest I've wanted to have on for a long time. Haven't gotten a chance, and today is awesome. Did great shows here, Sun Valley. The people are amazing. This place is the most. I hate telling people about this place because I don't want them to know how good it is, because I don't want them coming here. It's all my favorite places. I'm like, just don't tell anybody. But it is. It's pretty awesome up here. And this guest, let me do a few accolades, which I probably did in your introduction before this, but I just want to mention, not only is she a world champion mountain biker, adventure racer, has won an Emmy for a movie that was done about her trip across Vietnam. So many things, and so many I don't know. She's a fireman. Do they call her firewoman?
Firefighter.
Firefighter.
Thank you for asking.
Good. I like that they've got a good term for that. Firefighter, and I know that's a very, very, I don't want to say this, but I know a lot of firefighters, and I know it's one of those things that it's incredibly difficult for women to get into. It's like one of the most competitive fields, and so that's pretty incredible. And out here, where you fight real fires, like this is the shit.
Yeah, we do wildland, we do swiftwater rescue, we do avalanche rescue, and structure fire. So yeah,
that's awesome. You are my. You lead the life I dreamed of living, and somehow I ended up becoming a stand-up comedian. But that is Rebecca Rusch, everybody. And did I pronounce the last name right?
You did. Thank you. Thanks. Nice to be here.
I know a Rachel Rusch, so it's very hard to go Rachel Rebecca. Just Google her. It took, I could have gone for hours watching your videos. She's a Red Bull athlete. You did. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Okay, let's start from here. You went to college in Illinois.
Yeah, Downers Grove, Illinois is where I grew up, and my first experience in sports and athletics was actually finding the high school cross-country running team. And before that, my family was not athletic, and really, I joined the cross-country running team because my neighbor, who was a little bit older, my sister's age, she said, if you join the cross country running team, you get a free tracksuit, like those cool cotton matching ones, and you'll never get fat. And honestly, it's like probably true. It's true, but maybe not the best motivation to get involved in sport, but really that changed the trajectory of my life. Like being a young girl, learning fitness, finding a community of people that I really loved, and so it was like getting in there for body image and wanting a free sweatsuit, not the best motivation, but it ended up really changing my life. And now, decades later, I'm a professional athlete and have built a career around that. But that's where it started, was in high school.
When you got into running right away, did you know that you had a special ability for it?
I mean, I started getting some results my freshman year on our cross-country running team. So, in any sort of event where you're graded like that against your peers, everybody knows who's first, second, or third. And so I started to see that, I had an aptitude for it. And the longer the distance was, the better that I would do. So, I wasn't any good at track, but, the 2 and 3 mile, which seems really short now.
Yeah.
But I started to see an aptitude for it. And more importantly, I started to develop some confidence in looking at my body as a tool and not just an image of what your package looks like or what how you're built. This is a tool for me to do something that is giving me something more than just keeping my butt firm and making me look good. I was actually learning. It made me feel good on the inside.
Yeah. I think that happens with a lot of people. I think a lot of people want to get into a gym because they're like, oh, I want to have abs or I want to look good, and then they find all the health benefits and they go, oh, I have to keep this up. And it's a good wormhole to fall down where you start going, oh, and now I'm going to tweak my nutrition and now I'm going to tweak my, we talk about recovery and we talk about everything from, your mental clarity to whatever it may be. You start developing as a human being, and sports is such a great place for that. And when people ignore sports, and I hear so many schools now getting rid of their PE programs, I'm like, are you insane?
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was happening.
So many schools in this country, they don't have the funding or whatever it is, and they don't have physical fitness.
That's so sad because I feel honestly like I have more of an education from the sports teams that I was part of during high school and college than the classrooms that I sat in. The outdoor classroom and the sports classroom, I've learned far more about myself, teamwork, all sorts of motivation, committing to a goal. I learned that not in the classroom, but in my sports team. So any high school administrators out there who are listening, please don't cut your sports teams.
It's insane. And I also believe, I came from a running background, and I was a loser and couldn't do anything. School, I was bad. Girls, I was bad with girls. Everything was bad. And all of a sudden, I tried every sport, and I failed at every sport. And all of a sudden, one day I ran, and I was good. And it gave me confidence. And that confidence then, once you get confidence in one thing, you're like, oh, I see how I did this, and you can apply it to other things. So I just encourage kids to try everything, as many sports, whatever, because you might find that one thing that just starts you down that road like running did for you. But I just find it funny that here you are, you're like this complete outdoors person that does all the coolest things. From Bobby was telling me about your rock climbing, and did you do the Eco Challenge a couple times?
For 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, I was an adventure racer doing Eco Challenge, Raid Gauloise, and
you did the
all
Raid
those
Gauloise
races.
too.
Yeah.
Did you parachute in for the Raid Gauloise?
I didn't have to parachute, but there was everything from camel riding, scuba diving, rock climbing, whitewater swimming, pretty much everything you can think of, other than having to parachute.
So that was my dream. When I was just out of college, this would be in 1995 or 96 or something, when I started stand-up comedy. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I found the Eco Challenge. I'd watched the Raid Gauloise. I was like, that looks like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then I saw the Eco Challenge, and I called a phone number. And this is like pre-internet, practically.
Yeah.
So I called some phone number. And a buddy of mine, this is going to be weird for you. Do you know David Steckline, the photographer here? Well, David's nephew, Teddy, was a friend of mine back in Pittsburgh, because the Steckline family's from Pittsburgh. And Teddy owned a gym, and they also are into horses. And I said, we should put a team together and go do this. So I called. I get on the phone, and they go, hey, this guy's going to call you back.
Yeah.
The guy that called me back was Mark Burnett.
Oh, nice.
The creator of Survivor. And he just pitches me on the whole thing, and he's selling me on why I should do it, and I need to get $60,000 in a team and a car and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this sounds like a lot of work. and I was also just, right out of college, I had no money, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. But was that your first foray into the world of first of all, what brought you from Illinois to Sun Valley? Did it all start here?
No, it didn't start here. I wasn't here during Eco Challenge days. I was in California, and what brought me from...
What part of California?
Laguna and Santa Monica area.
Yep.
And really what brought me to California was rock climbing. So after college, I have a business marketing degree. I ended up working in a really cool health club in downtown Chicago that had a 100-foot climbing wall.
Okay.
And at the time, that was unheard of. Climbing walls were not like in every gym. And so I was working there and I'm like, that looks cool. Went down, learned to rock climb. And that really changed. That was really the outdoor sports focus for me, was finding rock climbing at an indoor gym, but then meeting the climbers, going outside, and then kind of deciding, okay, Illinois is a little too flat for me. I'm going to hit the road. And I, went on 3-month climbing trip alone, just living out of a car, and ended up in California and teaching rock climbing, and eventually opening, as part owner of a chain of gyms in California called Rockreation, and ended up managing and helping launch those. And so that really started the outdoor career and was amazing. I really fell in love with rock climbing. It's probably still my first love as a sport.
That's how you met Crazy Bobby, too.
That's how, I met him. I met a lot of crazy people in the gym in LA, in Santa Monica, who'd come in and you're like, oh man, who are these people? But that's how I got tapped into eco challenges. These people were coming in training for something called adventure racing, and they wanted to learn to rappel. And I was like, dude, rappelling's just the way down. Like, the climbing is where it's at. Yeah. And they were all dressed. They were not dressed like climbers. They were all in like tight Lycra and workout stuff that didn't fit in. And but I was the manager. I'm like, I'll take your money. I'll teach you how to rappel, you dorks. And then I found out that this sport of like adventure racing, and I ended up getting invited on a team because I was a climber and a paddler, and I did a few different sports, and that really launched 10 years of doing adventure racing. And like you said, it was an awesome way to see the world. It was an awesome way to learn a bunch of
it's incredible
about cultures and fill a bunch of passports.
So for people don't know, the Eco Challenge is about a 300-mile race?
The mileage is always different, but it's nonstop, and teams of 4. They have to be co-ed, and you aren't really told where to go. You're given a map and a compass and a bunch of checkpoints you have to hit along the way, whether it's paddling, running, biking. And so it's multi-sport.
Horseback riding.
Horseback. Like, depending on the country that it was in, they would have different aspects based on, what that country had to offer. And I mean, it was
I think they're bringing it back, experience. I just read.
They are. This September they're going back to Fiji. And
oh, wow.
It broke my heart to not. I was actually going to go back on a Legends team with some of my friends, and one of my friends from Spain, Emma Roca, she's going, and I had too much on my calendar, so I will go back. But yeah, it's coming back this September. They're doing it, and it's going to air again, and really was some of the most special sports I've ever done, because it was seeing culture. It was interacting with a whole tribe and community of endurance athletes, and just learning a lot about yourself. When you're tired and hungry and lost and cold and scared, your true self really comes out.
I can't imagine, especially the sleep deprivation. Yeah. I used to read a lot about it, and I read somewhere that one of the teams that won, there was a team that met each other on the internet, and they studied sleep deprivation and found out that if you go, rather than go all day and then sleep for an hour, sleep for 3 hours, they would go for 3 hours, sleep for 15 minutes, go for 3 hours, sleep for 15 minutes. And they found that they had more energy, and and I think they ended up winning it or something, this team that time. But they were also, they had chiseled their toothbrushes down to
totally.
I mean, because you have to carry the lightest you're carrying everything yourself.
You carry everything, and so and the clock never stops. So you're really looking at the whole package of like, what am I carrying? When am I sleeping? Where are we getting our food? And so it really is an expedition, which is cool. Yeah. And I loved it. And
how many days would it take you?
You know, a lot of times the big expedition races are like 7 days, and so on average you're getting over the top teams over a 24-hour period. You're getting about 2 hours of sleep per 24. If you're to be competitive, and so staying in the game and dealing with sleep deprivation and like extreme fatigue was something that was pretty interesting, but it shows you what the human body can do, and our mind is our limiter.
I don't know if you've seen the guy that's done the 50 or 30 Ironmans in 30 days. Yeah, I just watched his documentary. I just talked to him too, but when I see things like that, and then I'm out on a 3-mile run, and I'm like, this hill's too hard. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, there are people out there that can do these things, and I need to shut the fuck up and move and move. And it's the great thing about CrossFit, because it'll push you, even in 15 minutes, it'll push you to the limits where you're like, oh my God, I'm breaking down. Like my body is shutting down.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, David Goggins doesn't shut down.
Yeah.
These, Eco Challenge people don't. You get up. Get off the ground. And
it's so important to have those references of either other people that are mentors for you or seeing an example of somebody that does something really extreme, because you can take that to your world and be like, yeah, I'm being a wuss. Like, I can do this.
I look at pregnant women.
Yeah.
I look at pregnant women all the time and I'm like, okay, they did that. I can do what I need to stop bitching. They just did a study I heard on NPR about these people that they had them do, I think it was like 30 marathons in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And they gave them a day off every week. And they tested them to see what their caloric intake was and how much energy expenditure. And the only thing comparable was a pregnant woman.
Oh, wow.
And when I heard that, I was like, okay, my wife's just given birth to our second. And I'm like, I can never, ever, ever complain to her about anything.
You have a new respect for that.
Because I've never run 30. I've run one marathon, and that was enough.
That's cool to put it in that kind of perspective of how much energy it takes to create a human, and to like build a human inside your body. Yeah.
So the Eco Challenge, were there moments, like I always think about that. That's 7 days of hell. Mm-hmm. Are there moments like where you're ecstatically happy, or is it misery? But you kind of find joy in the misery.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's 7 days of hell. It's 7 days of heaven and hell, and extreme highs and extreme lows of just, oh my gosh, I'm on a peak in Morocco in the middle of nowhere with mountain goats and, Berber, nomadic tribesmen offering me mint tea.
Yeah.
But you can barely stand. But yet, this humanity and the beauty of where you are is like these highs that, you could never mimic anywhere else. But you have to have the lows as well. And yeah, there are a lot of times where...
How many times you cry?
Oh, all the time, and you cry. And I think that's why it has to be a team sport, because you have to have your teammates to pick you up.
Do the men cry too?
Oh yeah, the men cry too. The men, it's really interesting to see, everyone, nobody's super up or super down the whole time. And so it's this roller coaster of 4 people, going in their ups and downs, and luckily, hopefully, there's always somebody who's feeling all right and can prop up the rest of the team and give them a little hug or a kick in the butt or whatever is needed to motivate somebody. But they're really interesting. And my bike racing now, it's kind of cool. I feel like my cycling and my adventure racing have met because I'm doing a lot of expedition riding and self-support, what they call bike packing. Mm-hmm. So multi-day things, or I'm carrying my stuff with me, I'm navigating. And so I feel like everything I learned from a decade of adventure racing is now coming back to me on the bike, which is amazing.
Yeah, you didn't lose any of those skills.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's cool. I had a friend do the Kokoro camp, which is the Navy SEAL. It's just like a week-long camp where they put you in basically like buds, and it's for like anybody can just sign up and pay and go do it. And a buddy of mine who's been on the show a million times, Hunter McIntyre, went and did it, and they broke him. Yeah. And this guy's one of the top OCR racers in the world and does like multi-sport stuff, and they broke him. And that just goes to show that even the toughest, best breakdown and I'm sure I've had some people on that have climbed Mount Everest, and they tell you the stories about, somebody might be the best climber in the world, and all of a sudden there's this day where they're just shot and done. So I think that's interesting. The mountain bike...
Well, there's a quote, actually, and it's this really awesome. It's like, the world breaks everyone, and some are stronger in the broken places. And so Hunter going through that, he might have broken in that situation, but he's stronger now for the next thing that comes up for him. And so being broken is not a bad thing. It's a pathway to success, really. I
always say that to my daughter about like injuries and things. Like when you break a bone, the bone calcifies and gets stronger.
Yeah.
And that's how we are as humans. Like you get scar tissue. Scar tissue is stronger than the skin, before it. So, you almost want to have these things happen.
They're part of the prerequisite. If we're coddled and kept in a nice fluffy cocoon, you don't grow as much as a human. I definitely believe that as part of the nickname of Queen of Pain. It's not that I like pain. I like the process of, it's a teacher for me, and the process of doing something long and hard. What you come out on the other side is a little different than where you started.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's a real prima donna, and I mean the worst. And it's so
but
funny.
she gave birth. So
that's the only.
tough.
That's the only thing I shouldn't say. I mean, like, I'll give her credit for that. But that's it. Like, she's a fake. Like, when I have her do workouts, she bitches, and she's one of those people that has tons in the tank, and they're faking it. I used to do it because I used to do it all the time. I was like, if I pretend. Like in practice, if I pretend like I'm dying, they're not going to push me that hard. And then I got over that, you know?
Yeah.
And I see through it now with people because I'm like, I used to do that.
Yeah.
You're not. I know you've got a lot more left. And I see it with a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people will fake it that they're hurting because they're afraid of how bad they could really hurt. And so when I see it, I'm like, nope. I'm going to make you pay.
I think it's really common. I mean, you hear the stories of like a woman lifting a car off her baby, or you know what our capacity is as humans. I don't touch what my capacity is. Very few of us, if any, get to really that place. Or you're in a dangerous situation and all of a sudden you can run fast. If someone's chasing you, and so there's a lot more in everybody's tank than we let on.
So which was your favorite eco challenge? Which country?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. I'm definitely
have to pick one.
I have to pick one. New Zealand probably was really one of my favorites. Actually, New Zealand or Tibet and Nepal. Actually, Tibet and Nepal was a Raid Gawaz one, and
was that cold?
Was just cold, high mountains, really intense, and the Buddhist culture was pretty amazing, and seeing some of the big famous peaks like Lhotse and seeing those in the distance, that was pretty special.
I've always wanted to go do base camp, and I have a friend that's climbed a bunch of times, climbed Everest, and they're like, oh, come with me. And I keep saying, that's on my bucket list. I don't want to go up. I don't want to take the risk. But
well, just being around those mountains and around the base of them and stuff, it really is a magical part of the world. And
have you ever had the urge to climb Everest?
No, not to climb Everest, but
like
to
another
be
one?
around it. I would climb another peak.
Yeah.
The highest I've been is Kilimanjaro, which is 17,000. Actually, that race in Nepal, we went up to 18,000 feet, and that's the highest I've been. And that was pretty high. That's probably about my limit. I don't think I want to go where you need to wear oxygen. You need like supplemental oxygen.
What are we at right now? 6 or 7?
Probably 6 around here.
6. I have never really felt oxygen until about like at Breckenridge at about the 12,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I feel a little.
Yeah.
I feel it a little.
There's these thresholds for people. Yeah, 10 to 12. And then for me, 17, 18, I feel another sort of bump.
Yeah, that might be a little scary for me to get there and feel that.
It's different. I mean, I rode up and down Kilimanjaro, and there was definitely the last day, up to the high point was... You feel different. Your body is fighting for its life, so to speak. I did a workout one time in Tahoe, and I forgot that I was at altitude. Yeah.
And it's a workout I had done before, and so I knew how fast I could do it, and I was just going way slower, and I was so, beaten up with myself. I was like, why am I going so slow? And they go, how do you like doing this at altitude? And I went, I forgot. And I went, and they were like, you'll be adjusted in a few days.
When I was training for Kilimanjaro, it was really cool. I had access through my coach, Dean, at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. They have an altitude room.
Wow.
And so what we did to get me acclimatized and set up, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel at 17,000 feet. And I'm carrying my bike, so I have basically 40 pounds was what I had gotten my gear down to carry. And so we basically simulated on a treadmill with me carrying a 40-pound weight vest of what it would be like to go for a few hours a day and this and that, because I wanted to learn what my body response would be so that I knew how to recognize it and didn't put myself in trouble at high altitude. And so we simulated this each day, 12,000, 13, 14, up to 18.
Wow. And
it was so cool to feel I could feel, and he could even see it in my face, my eyes would start to tingle, my cheeks would start to tingle, and my fingers would start to tingle as I got above, if my oxygen, and we were testing my oxygen saturation, my hydration, all these things, so that I could learn how much I need to drink, what pace I could go. And it was really interesting. If I went a little too hard, my eyes and my fingers would start to tingle, and my oxygen saturation would drop, and that was my key to physical key.
When you say it would drop, what do you have any idea what kind of level it would drop to?
Yeah, we were hitting down into like 84, 83,
Wow.
82, which is really low for oxygen saturation. And so we wanted to make sure I didn't get into that danger zone. And so what was really cool is I learned the physical cue of like a tingly face to be like, okay, that is basically my threshold, because you can't rely on heart rate monitor, you can't rely on your usual things at altitude, as you know. And so I'd be like, okay, my face tingles, I got to bring it down a notch. I've got to go more slowly and manage the pace. And it was a really cool learning lesson to know that your body's going to tell you and send you these messages. But so often at altitude, people they just charge harder, or they're breathing hard and they're like, what's wrong with me? Like you were in your workout. But it was a really cool like education of like, respect the environment.
Oh my God, yeah.
And learn how to function in it.
Oh, I surf a lot, and it's just so much of like when I'm out in the ocean, it's like you have to respect the ocean and what it can do to you, and I'm constantly aware of that, and I don't think enough people pay attention to that.
Well, and in the Kilimanjaro situation or altitude, pushing harder is actually deadly. You know, it's not the answer, you know, is to like, especially as an athlete, like, oh, I can go harder, I can go faster, I can push harder. And I basically had to learn to like, no, I can only go this fast.
Were you wearing a heart rate monitor and checking that out at all times?
When we were doing the testing in the training center, yes. But then on the mountain, I just went on physical cues, and I learned that like, okay, the tingling is my cue to slow it down, and that's my pace.
Do you think that was your heart rate was going too high, or?
It was everything. So when we were doing the testing in Colorado Springs, you could see all of the factors were linked to each other. So if my heart rate went a little too high, my blood saturation or my O2 saturation went down, my face would start to tingle, and so it's all related.
Interesting.
But yeah, you could wear a heart rate monitor and get the same thing, but I didn't trust what would my heart rate be at 18,000 feet? Like, I didn't know. And
I see your point. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why I did that, and really the physical cues were a better test for me than a piece of technology.
I just wanted to stop to talk to you about Whoop. What is Whoop? It's a performance tool that is changing the way people track their fitness and optimize their training. I wear a Whoop. Hunter wears a Whoop. It's a wrist-worn heart rate monitor that pairs to an app on your phone and provides daily personalized analytics and insights on recovery, strain, and sleep. You're going to know when your body's recovered or when it needs to rest by getting to know your nervous system through heart rate variability and quality of sleep. It automatically tracks your workouts and gets strain scores that let you know how strenuous training was on your body, and see even more data like average heart rate, max heart rate, calories burned. You can get optimal sleep times based on how strenuous your day was, and you're going to track sleep performance with insight into your sleep cycles and stages of sleep, sleep quality, sleep consistency. How about this? Whoop, just released the new Whoop Strap 3.0. which includes new upgrades to hardware and unlocks a suite of new software to their app. The Whoop Strap 3.0 now has 5 days of battery life. That's 5 days. An improved strap, a live heart rate monitoring, in addition to a handful of new in-app features. Okay? It's incredible. And Whoop's provided an offer for my listeners to get $30 off their purchase with the code WODCAST. Just go to whoop.com. That's Whoop. Whoop.com. I almost said Whoop. There it is. But it's whoop.com. Use the code WODCAST at checkout. You're going to save $30 and you're going to optimize the way you train. Put in WODCAST at checkout for $30 off your Whoop membership. Wow, am I cranked up today. All right? So check that out. It is unbelievable. Summertime, guys, and you've probably turned your workouts up a bit because, you want to look good naked. That's what everybody's doing. You want to look good out there at the beach, sun's out, guns out, and you're working hard. You're maybe doing a lot of high-volume workouts, which make you really, really sore. That's what happens usually in the summer. People get to that a lot of cardio, a lot of high volume, trying to slim down a bit. And, along with the high volume, you're getting really tight, really sore. And you want to be ready for these workouts. You also want to cool down afterwards. So the best way to loosen up your muscles before a workout, you're going to need to apply Tiger Balm Active Muscle Rub. Yep, that's Tiger Balm. Tiger Balm Active Muscle Rub. And it will get you ready. Your muscles will be so loose. Gone is that tightness that you feel when you get out of bed in the morning. You are ready. You are ready to work out. Get that muscle rub on you, okay? It's non-greasy. Gives you a warming sensation. Get your sore muscles ready to go, okay? And then, here's what you do for post-workout. You're going to put on Tiger Balm Active. It's called Tiger Balm Active Muscle Gel. And they also have a muscle spray for those hard-to-reach places. Okay, you just spray it on. What that's going to do, it's like a warm to cool feeling, or cool to warm, and it makes you like, it just takes any of that pain away that you're going to experience with DOMS. And so it's perfect for people like you, people like me. You want to get the most out of your workout without any of the pain. Make sure you go get yourself some Tiger Balm Active. Where are you going to get it? You're going into CVS. You're going into Rite Aid. You all go there. You're there at some point in your life. Find it. Just look down in an aisle. Ask where the Tiger Balm is. They're going to show you. Pick it all up. Get every one of them. Get the Tiger Balm Active Muscle Rub. Get the muscle gel. Get the muscle spray. And like I always say, thank me afterwards. So CVS or Rite Aid. And so you don't have to suffer anymore. Okay? Get your Tiger Balm Active today. All right, you CrossFitter, OCR weirdos that love to compete constantly. And remember, Hunter McIntyre said last week, you want to be good, you got to compete all the time. You got to compete. Use your fitness. Go out there, have fun. And I got something amazing for you. It's called Hyrox. Hyrox, Hyrox. It's a new fitness competition like you've never seen. They host 3,000 athletes a day in a massive 150,000 square feet indoor venue. The competition consists of 8 rounds of 1 kilometer. That's like a little over half a mile, remember, of running plus a functional fitness exercise. No barbells. So we're doing a lot of body weight gymnastic stuff. So you're running a mile and doing this stuff. Best overall time wins. Okay? So you got to do this. 3,000 people you're going to get to compete against. The Hyrox US Series starts in Miami October 19th and is followed with events across the country. Top male and female athletes in Miami will each win $2,500. If you're a CrossFitter, I'm telling you, you have a serious advantage at this. If any athlete sets a new male or female record time, they're going to win $5,000 bonus. I think we know a person that might be trying out for this. You got that, Hunter McIntyre? Fastest male and female U.S. competitors will be brought to Germany to compete in the Hyrox World Championships in Berlin. Hyrox is the fitness competition for everybody. Compete as an individual or in a 2-person team. And you want to save on the registration with code WODCAST at Hyrox.com. So go to Hyrox.com. When you sign up, use WODCAST when you're signing up. They're going to ask for a promo code. Use WODCAST at Hyrox.com. Okay? So check it out. October 15th. Check out their website. Many dates to follow. Okay? I'm going to keep up with this. I might even do one of these myself. This is right up my alley. So check them out. Hyrox.com. That's HYROX.com. You're going to get to use your competition or use your fitness in competition. We talk about this constantly. It's so important that you do. And no barbells being used in this. So you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised who can crush this thing. I mean, take someone like Matt Frazier. He would crush it. So and that guy can move a barbell. So who knows? Why don't you check it out? Miami first one. Check them out. Hyrox.com. A whole bunch of others coming. And use WODCAST at checkout. For you, what's harder? Extreme heat or altitude?
I think extreme heat because it is really hard to manage, and it is just you're in it. Whereas altitude, you can control your pace, you can control how you function in that environment, and still reach the summit or be successful. Heat and you can acclimatize. Like you can train your body to it, and you can heat train and heat acclimatize too. But I think it's much harder to control, especially in a wilderness environment, because you might not have access to ice to cool your core or, enough water or things like that if you're out. And so I see a lot more people get taken down by heat than they do by cold or altitude.
When you were doing the adventure racing, were you usually with the same group?
Usually we had a core team that I was captain of, but there were always, and you really want to get to know your teammates. I mean, it's a pretty intimate experience, and you need to know their skill level. So yeah, it was mostly the same group with one or two alternates that would, circulate in if somebody was injured or couldn't go. And
have you ever done anything like Race Across America?
No. I keep getting asked to do Race Across America, but here's the thing with my bike expeditions and all my stuff is I have to be really excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go on a treadmill for 100 hours to see if I can do it.
Right.
Part of the whole inspiration for me is where I'm going, and is it a country I want to be in or a place I want to explore. And part of Race Across America to me, insult to anybody who's done it, but the course just doesn't seem that interesting to me.
Right.
And the fact that it's on roads with cars, it's just probably not my bag.
I gotcha. I'm glad to hear you say that, because sometimes people are like, I've done this, I want to do this, I want to do everything. And I like that you're doing it out of the love of it. And, when I go, I hate to run long distance, but somehow I can do it on trails forever.
Yeah.
Because I love nature, I love being outside, I love... this is the best right here, Sun Valley, along the river, and you can jump in the river, and you can...
Yeah.
This is incredible. So I get where you're going, and that's why I like mountain biking way more than road biking.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense.
It's a more complete package, and for people who are looking for, what's this cool endurance thing I can do, there are endless amounts of famous trails, of endurance things you can do that you maybe don't even know about yet.
Go to fitevents.com. There's a guy, we've done some ads on the show, but he's just a great guy, and he's got a website. It's called fitevents.com.
Oh, cool.
And it's got every race in
awesome.
Every kind of, but it has yoga meetups. It has, you name it. If you want to get involved in something, you go to this site, and you can find a CrossFit event. You could find a mountain bike race. You could find
that's cool.
An OCR. You could find anything. And it's I would have killed for that. When I came out of college, living in Pittsburgh, it was so hard to find these people.
Yeah.
You were in California. It's easier to find them, and so there's people out there still to this day. You live in Cleveland, you're not going to be able to find the people, but you can find them on these websites. Get there and then find the people.
That's what's so cool about the internet. It's giving people access to the world through Google Maps or Earthmate or any of those things. They're you can explore and then check it out and be yeah, I'm going to go there.
Yeah,
which is really cool. It would have been really hard to do before the internet. You're pulling out maps and going to a library and looking in books. But yeah, the world is really open to people, and that's how really. Doing the Ho Chi Minh Trail and finding the ride I did to find my dad in Blood Road. I just was researching famous trails, and I was of course.
Well, let's get into that, because that's amazing. I was going to save that, and it's funny because you never know how long people are going to listen to the show, and so sometimes you want to have the best stuff up front. That's amazing. And I watched parts of it. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, and I watched parts of it, and I'm oh my God, I can't wait to go watch this entire film.
Awesome.
Incredible. I'm tingling right now thinking about it. How I'll just let you tell the story completely, because I don't want to botch it at all.
Yeah, it was, it kind of came to fruition. It was, my exploration and adventure racing, like I said, and bike racing, wanted to explore famous trails in the world, do long stuff that nobody had done before. And it kind of was an aha moment of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I didn't know much about it other than that my dad, who was a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot, was shot down over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in 1972, and he never came home. And so this word, Ho Chi Minh Trail, has been floating around my vocabulary since I was a baby, and finally my career sort of pushed me to be I wonder what that trail is like, and could I go ride it? And so I went to Red Bull. They've been a 20-year partner of mine, and just not to film a documentary, but to say I need help with the logistics of this. It goes through 3 countries. It's
Vietnam, Cambodia,
Laos, and Cambodia.
Okay.
And it's, the trail that they used during the Vietnam War the North Vietnamese used to move supplies and people and equipment to overtake the South. And so it was purposely hidden and secretive and changed all the time. And so there is quite a rich, robust history about what this trail was for and what it's about, and the pieces of it that are left. And so I wanted to piece together the most historically accurate route and then go find the place where my dad's plane was shot down, which is along the trail. And it ended up being, the hardest expedition in my life, the most important physical thing I've ever done, but really the most important emotional journey of taking my sport and my career as a way to connect with my dad for the first time in my life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And being able to document it and share the story later. I mean, it was intensely powerful for me. And I go back now every year. I take mountain bikers back there, small groups, back on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And it changed my life. But having a film and a documentary, Blood Road, to be able to share with other people has been so powerful, because I've tapped into this world of veterans and veterans' families or ultra-endurance athletes, people who just like to travel in Southeast Asia, being able to share a story. I mean, it's why podcasts are important. It's why our world is coming back to storytelling, which is so amazing. It's an ancient craft that got lost, and now we're doing it again. And so Blood Road was it still is a powerful way for me to connect with the world and share my story and hug a stranger and be like, yeah, I feel you. Like, we're connected in this way. So it's pretty cool.
How long of a distance was it?
It's 1,200 miles. The ride that I did from basically Hanoi down to Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, through Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. And
the military had given you, stop me if I'm saying anything that you don't want to talk about, but the military had given you a basic coordinates of where it had happened?
Yeah, we had crash coordinates on a map. We basically just had numbers on a map, and we had the letters that were sent to us, when the crash happened, and the report that was filed that day, and then the ongoing reports from the U.S. government going back in to excavate crash sites. They still continue. There's still hundreds of people missing from the Vietnam War who have never been founded, and the U.S. government still continues to look for those people. There were just a couple weeks ago, a pilot who went down was found 50 years after his crash, and his pilot's son got to fly his remains home.
That's amazing.
So people are still connecting.
And bring such closure.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. And
so, we had government documents, we had maps, and that's where, the research project of it was just kind of intense, to piece together a trail and find this place.
How long did it take you to do this?
The ride itself was a month. The project was, the pre-planning was pretty intense, and, Nick Schrunk was the director of Blood Road, and he really got in deep. I mean, he absorbed his life. He went over 7 times before I even got there to go on the ride, to find places, meet people, meet with government officials to get the approval to go through and tell them, we're making a film about the Vietnam War. And it was it was hard. Very hard to do, and they had more endurance than I did. Red Bull and the media house team, to be able to lay the groundwork for me to come have a route to ride and to do it and film it. And I feel really lucky that I got to do that, because the logistical aspect of it was a nightmare, and the film crew was super small. They were all on motorcycles because a lot of the trail is not accessible. So they were having a very intense journey.
I was just going to say, of the 1,200 miles, how much was rideable?
It was almost all rideable. Wow. There's a few scenes in jungle scenes where, I had a machete as part of my equipment list, and because the jungle does overtake things, and there are some sections that were paved roads that were around, the big cities, and then there's some sections that had been overgrown and taken over and by the jungle, and you needed a machete to get through, and so it was a mix of everything. And then there were places that were original cobblestones that had been hand laid by the Vietnamese that are still there, of the actual Ho Chi Minh Trail, and you just feel the history when you're riding across those and standing on them.
Were you in danger ever?
I didn't feel in danger in the jungle. I felt the most in danger when we finished the ride and got into Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. It's a massive city in Southeast Asia, and I was terrified by the cars and the traffic and the motor scooters. And you see it in the film. It's just like, from being alone in the jungle with small villagers living in thatch huts to going into one of the biggest cities in the world was very intense for me. And I was pretty scared in the city, but luckily my teammate, partner, Huen, Vietnamese rider, she lives in the city. She commutes by scooter, motorbike, and so she was in her element, and she was just like, stay behind me. And I was just like this terrified little, white girl in the middle of Southeast Asia just going, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. But she shepherded me through that. Sure. I felt like I shepherded her through the jungle in a lot of ways, and because I had more outdoor experience. And
were there any parts of the ride that were like, oh my God, this is the best mountain bike trail I've been on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of it. Like, there's so many
like good
places
downhills
that really good riding. Yeah. And so that's part of when I take these groups back, these small groups, is I show them the sweet spots and the cool stuff.
Right.
And
I want in.
It's
I want to
so
go.
Fun. There's 2 spots left for December. So
I really want to. My wife with the new baby would be like, "You're not going." I mean, to. Everything has to be now.
Well, that's true.
Like monetary or I got to go. It's work. Everything I do. I'm going to do a trip in Hawaii, a surfing thing that is work, and that's how I'm sneaking it in.
So apparently she doesn't listen to this podcast and know your strategy?
She doesn't listen to anything I do or watch anything I do. She watches my stand-up sometimes, and half the jokes will be about her. And people are like, do you care that he does? Then she's like, I know, as long as he gets a check.
That's awesome. Well, you have a good system.
Yeah.
Like.
We've worked it out. But I'm totally intrigued by this whole. You took, what was it, about 14 riders with you when you did the original trip?
No, the original trip was just me and Huen.
Oh,
so just 2 cyclists and then a small 6-person film crew on motorcycles.
Okay.
My husband went as a support person, and then my mechanic, Jason Bauer, came.
Is your husband a freak athlete too?
Yeah, he's a world champion as well.
Oh, okay.
And, like firefighter, and
that
he's a
makes
stud.
Sense.
Yeah.
So, how did firefighting come into the whole thing?
That was my backup plan if this whole sports thing didn't work out. And I went through some training academies in LA when I was living there, and I had a bunch of friends I was paddling with who were all firefighter women, and I was just like, man, these women are so cool.
When you say paddling, you were kayaking?
I was doing outrigger canoeing.
Oh, outrigger canoeing.
Which was super fun team, but all these big, strong, amazing women were all firefighters. And I was like, man, maybe this could be a career for me. And so I went through LA Training Academy and some testing.
Which is really hard to get into.
It's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intense. And, the rules, the job requirement is the same. You've got to lift the same weight of a dummy. You've got to move the same weight of a ladder, regardless of your gender or body size or whatever. And so, and I appreciate that. It's like, if you get in, you've earned it. You've earned your way. And I got an offer, and I actually decided LA wasn't where I wanted to live full time. So I turned it down. I hit the road, started rock climbing. And when I came to Idaho, I found out that, you could work as a volunteer or part-time. And so I dipped my toe in the water here. That was 12, 13 years ago when I joined the department. And it really was intended to be my backup plan. If this sports thing didn't work, then I was going to go to paramedic school, apply full-time, and, long story short, I didn't have to use my backup plan. But firefighting, but the great part about living in a small town like this is I can have the best of both worlds. I can be part-time on the fire department and use a totally different part of my brain with engineering and stuff like that, meet a different group of people, but also take my sports skill and my fitness into doing something good for my community and giving back. You
had a big fire. I mean, we're sitting below Warm Springs right now on the this is Baldy Mountain. What is that? The west of us?
West.
That all burned.
Yeah, we've had 2 huge fires.
I remember the
Beaver
big
Creek
one.
and Castle Rock, and massive. And
were you involved in those?
Both of them. And it's, it feels good to do something, while all your friends and family and everybody's getting evacuated out of town, we're staying and like, okay, I'm going to stay and I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah.
And like, I love being able to be part of doing something like that.
Yeah, but it's dangerous. People don't realize how dangerous it is for you and what you guys. I'm doing a run to raise money for firefighters' families, and the Wildfire Foundation or whatever it is. I gotta start plugging that on this show because I'm doing a run in November, 68 miles
in
across.
Which part of the?
It's the Backbone Trail.
Oh,
I'm going to do the whole Backbone.
Yeah, that whole thing.
And try to break 24 hours.
Nice.
And because I was there when the fires happened, and Bobby and I stayed. Yeah. And Bobby was on crutches. He was a lot of help. And oh my God, I was going to kill him. We were there, and I talked to all the firefighters, and I saw what they do, and they got a lot of criticism in Malibu because a lot of houses burned, and people were going, they were just going right past our house. And I said, you don't understand. They have to go to stop the fire.
Yeah.
They can't worry about your house because they've got to stop it from hitting an area that is going to prevent it from hitting 50 other houses.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were really upset with the fire company. There's 600 people lost their homes, or 600 homes were lost. And people were like, where were they? There wasn't enough of them, or what? And I said, I don't think you should criticize until you can get in there and find out about the winds, about when they could fly planes, when they could get guys in, and there's so much to it. And I've got a friend that's a firefighter out here, and it's a monster.
Yeah, and fire science is really fascinating, and yeah, there's a lot to it. And you'll see in one neighborhood, one house will be burned to the ground, and the very next house has nothing and is totally standing. And so it's not predictable behavior. It's a super dangerous job, and yeah, you're trying to predict an unpredictable medium, really. And yeah, it is super dangerous, and you want to save everybody and save everything, but there's a triage aspect to it where you have to go to the worst first.
Right.
And,
yeah,
the best solution is to put the fire out versus staying and saving one person's house. Like, what's better for the greater good? Yeah,
I was an ocean lifeguard, and we did the same thing. It was, you always swim to the farthest victim. You see them, somebody can be sitting there screaming, help, 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 I'm drowning.
Yeah.
But if somebody's out there farther, you have to go, and then everybody else will fill in.
Yeah.
But you get to that farthest person. And it's tough sometimes swimming past a person that's going, help me, I'm drowning, and you're like, I got to go to this next person.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is just the way we handle things, and it's the most effective way, and it's tough. And that way, you're not left in that moral quandary. You're doing your job, and you're doing the way you're trained to do it. So I get that, and I understand it, and I wish more people, like it's Malibu. It's a lot of, I'm not going to say entitled people, but it's a lot of, well, why didn't they get my house? They were right there. I saw them. I'm like, you don't get it until you're right there with them. And I don't think people realize how dangerous it is too, what you guys do. I mean, and not just the fact that like you could burn in what goes on in your lungs and the amount like that.
Yeah, cancer is the highest death rate for firefighters. Not being caught in a fire or anything like that. It's the sort of work impact of the environments that you're hanging out in. And of course you're wearing breathing apparatus and all that, but even the clothes, like the carcinogens that get on your turnouts and your clothes after you're done, have to be washed out. And so there's a lot of lives that are lost that way, and not necessarily in being burned in a fire.
Right. And that's why, when I watched this whole thing, we were talking about it when they saved our neighborhood, and we said, okay, well, we're going to have to do something.
That's awesome.
For them. And I just came up with this idea. I was like, you know what? Why don't we go across the whole place that burned?
Yeah.
So we'll run from one end to the other, and I'm in no shape for it now. None. I did. One day I ran 30 miles, and I was like, okay, I think I can do it. And now that was like months ago, and I got to start my training again.
What's the whole length of the Backbone?
It's 68 miles.
Yeah.
And it's 16,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's 4 big hills.
Yeah.
And I do the big hills all the time. Like, that'll just be a day. I'll go, I'm going to climb to the top of this mountain. It's just like climbing the top of Balding or something. Mm-hmm. But you get to the top of there, and you're like, the down is what hurts.
Yeah, running, like, absolutely. Maybe it should be a bike ride.
I know. You know what? They don't let us on so many parts of the Backbone Trail.
Oh, okay.
With bikes.
Okay.
There's parts you're allowed, and it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much.
It's good riding. No, I've heard great things.
Probably shouldn't admit that I ride on those parts, but I do all the time. I'm always afraid, and I really am afraid of this. I'm a dickhead, but I'm afraid of. I'm friends with a lot of people with horses, and I know they ride on the trails, and I know people that have been thrown off horses, and I know I get back there and I'm like, oh my God, I want to like fly down this trail and hit this jump. And but I know if I come around a corner and there's a horse, they're going to rear up and I could kill somebody.
Yeah.
And as much as fun as it is, I'm like, so I don't tear around those trails anymore.
I mean, public lands are they're a shared resource for people, and there's, that's just good trail etiquette if you want to keep trails in your backyard. And I've heard super good things about the Backbone Trail.
I've been trying to organize in our little neighborhood where Bobby and I used to live. It's a restoration, cultural trust or something. Somebody bought the land so it can't be developed, and they use money to keep, they cut down the trails and keep them, but they're horses only. And there's more mountain bikers than there are horseback riders. So I've been trying to organize and say, give us like an hour, like on Fridays. Let us have like Friday evening. That
That's
we just
a good
get
idea.
1 hour. And so I'm trying to organize that right now because there's so many guys that ride. And there's a guy from Red Bull that lives in my neighborhood from Red Bull Media. Ben, he's from Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Ben?
Yeah, I know Ben.
Yeah.
Ben was the executive producer on Blood Road.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. So Ben's my neighbor.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I've been talking to him about it. And come on, guys, let's take back the trails.
Yeah. Well, it's a good, solution to think about. Are there certain times a day, that after 5 or, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, our cyclists are allowed? I think that's a creative way to provide access to multiple user groups. And even here, it's like we have a lot of great trails, but people. I'm a runner. I'm a cyclist. I'm a Nordic skier. I ride a fat bike. So I'm not just one category of a user.
Right.
I don't have a horse, but that's okay. But I think it's important that you think it is a shared access. It's a shared. It doesn't belong to anyone. It's public land. And so how do you figure out a way that everybody is enjoying it and taking care of it?
Exactly. And saying that you do all these sports and you look fit as hell and the proof is in your accomplishments, how do you do it? How do you keep up with all those things? And do you have do you just train for fun, or do you have a regimented training every day?
I normally have a regimented training every day with a coach, which was great because it's accountability. Since Blood Road, really the last sort of few years of my business growth and being on film tour and stuff like that has really shown me sort of what the regular working people have to do to fit in fitness. And so I don't have the luxury of hours a day of training. And so it's actually morphed and changed a little bit, which has been hard for me, but it's also cool of learning quality versus quantity and what can I fit in an hour of interval training, going on runs. I run more than I used to just because it's fast. I can get a lot done in an hour. And so really I'm trying to figure out the balance of running a growing business, but with also having this, world champion mind and etiquette and way that I train, knowing that I can't do all that every day as much as I want to because I have other demands on my time, just like you do with your family. And so my strategy has really been, one, to find short, efficient workouts that I can, have a pull-up bar at home. I have, a foam roller and a ball and things that I can do without needing to go to a gym or any equipment.
So what would be a workout?
Just even doing lunges and squat jumps and some pull-ups and a bunch of push-ups and 20 minutes.
So
I'll do
cross-training,
kind of cross-training, strength fitness workout.
Sure.
When I'm out on my runs, sometimes I'll pick up rocks and boulders and do shoulder press with them.
Great.
And then throw them as far as I can.
You're just like Bobby.
And
Same
so
thing.
I'll just find something to do and fit it in. When I'm in airport, I always take the stairs. I try to find ways that fit it in. But the other really big part of it for me is I need to have a cool trip or a goal or some amazing ride on the horizon pretty regularly because that will keep me honest and have me looking forward to
Sure.
For example, I'm going to back to Laos in December to ride, with a group and
how many
500
miles?
miles.
500,
We'll be 500
wow.
miles. We take 10 days to do it.
Okay.
So it's not race pace or anything like that, but that's a big trip.
Sure.
And so I've got that on the horizon. I've got the Iditarod Trail in March that I'll do on a bike.
The Iditarod on a bike.
Yes.
So that's all snow.
Yes, very snowy. Minus
Wow.
25-degree temperatures.
So those fat tires?
Yeah, fat tire bike.
Okay.
Really intense.
Studs in them?
Yes.
Okay.
Studded tires, because you're riding across ice. You're, basically the wolves are out. You're alone with the wolves on this
God.
really remote Alaskan wilderness trail. So that's on the horizon. So it's important for me to have goals like that I'm excited about, because that's going to be what.
But how many
gets
days a
me
week?
out.
How many days a week are you training?
I'm trying to train at least 5 days a week.
Okay.
And 6 if I'm lucky. Sometimes it's just a fun. So basically the core of my training is 2 days a week are going to be short and hard, which are intervals. You squeeze those in an hour, no problem. It might be running or hill intervals or cross country skiing, and then at least 1 day a week that's long, multi-hour, long and slow, so to speak, or
When
long
you say
multi-hour.
What do you?
4 or 5 hour
Gotcha.
ride kind of thing. More if I have it. But then I also sign up for events. Like I just did Breck Epic a couple weeks ago, non-competitively, but it was 3 days of riding in a row with 50 miles a day. And, you're just like packing on the miles. So I really like using events as training regimens as well. Private Idaho, my event coming up next week, that's going to be 3 days of riding 50, 50, 100.
I think that's something that people don't talk about enough that great athletes do, and that is to put those competitions as out there for you, to the hurdles to jump over, and that the people that compete the most, Hunter and I just talked about this last week, the people that compete the most, even in CrossFit, are usually the best, because they're constantly out there competing and putting themselves in that competitive environment that you have to push yourself to, as you say, to get ready for that.
Yeah.
And you're getting ready for that. And once as you finish any of these things, you go, well, I did that, I can do this.
Well, there's two aspects to it. There's the planning aspect that you have an event coming up, and so you're accountable to your daily routine a little bit more. But then the second thing, like you said, when you're actually in it, no matter how trained you are or untrained you are, ready or not, there is an energy with a bunch of people around you that you're going to rise to a level that you wouldn't do by yourself.
Right.
I'm not going to ride as hard on 100-mile Private Idaho course if I do it alone as I am with 1,200 people who are all around me. And even if I'm not going to win or anything like that, there's an energy of everybody else that takes you to the next level.
So you're world champion, like you're how many time world champion?
7
time. And what is that in? What aspect of?
There's 3 times in 24-hour solo mountain bike racing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a long time on a bike. Adventure racing, and let's see, gravel riding, gravel, road racing, basically on gravel, masters cross country skiing, and whitewater rafting. That's the other one. I think that's 7. Is that 7? I think so.
Where did the whitewater rafting thing? Where'd you do that?
That was on the Futalefu River in Chile.
Oh, my God.
And I got invited to race with a bunch of really amazing women. A lot of those women who were firefighters from the Outrigger canoeing team. And
had you done a lot of whitewater rafting?
No.
Really?
I'm scared of the water. And they basically just said, all you have to do, as a climber and paddler, on Outrigger. So, a pretty developed upper body, and they just took one look at me and they're like, yeah, we want you on the team. I'm like, no, but I can't paddle whitewater. And they're like, you don't have to, you just don't fall out of the boat and pull hard on the on the paddle. And so it was pretty cool to kind of be along for the ride with some of the best whitewater women in the world, going down class 5 rapids, just going, holy crap, don't fall out of the boat.
Now there's a lot of people listening to this right now going, oh, she's had all these amazing experiences, but they think a lot of times athletes like this are independently wealthy or whatever they do. You've done this all with sponsorship, hustle, teaching women's clinics, writing a book. I mean, it's really been hustle. You spend a lot of your own money?
Not at this point, but yeah, I mean, in the beginning, absolutely. Didn't have health insurance, lived out of my car, mooched off of friends, just to make it work because I wanted to go exploring and adventuring.
That's awesome.
And now decades later, I'm making a living at it, but it was not,
right.
It's not like I want to be a professional athlete and I'm going to just collect a paycheck in year 1 or year 20 even.
Well, what's your recovery like now? I mean, is it, as you get older, is it much harder to be able to do this stuff?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm 50, and so I tell people that, not to brag or anything, but I want people to be inspired that you can keep doing stuff. But the biggest thing I notice is I need to stretch more. I used to get away with stuff, 25, 30, that I can't get away with now. So I have to stretch more and take care of myself a little better in that way, which is not bad. I need sleep. And I need, instead of 1 day recovery a week, probably 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, so that has been a little bit of a change. And the thing that's really the hardest is I need to wear reading glasses now.
Oh.
And so like maps and navigation and all that kind of stuff. When I'm out on the trail, I have to now carry a pair of reading glasses, which is like, I hate it, but it's a piece of my equipment now.
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
I need to be able to read a map.
Sure, you might need a flashlight or a magnifying glass.
Yeah, so it's pretty light. A pair of glasses are pretty light.
But, you're doing these things. I just was running around the river yesterday, and, last night I'm going to bed, and I'm like, oh, my God, I have a bruise on the bottom of my foot. Mm-hmm. You must have acquired 10,000 injuries.
I haven't. I've been really lucky, knock on wood. I don't have a lot of injuries, and I think it's because I do a lot of different sports. And
so it's not overusage.
I don't. Yeah, the people that I know that really have a lot of injuries are like been runners for life, or been climbers for life, or kayakers for life. And I like to say I'm sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. I do a lot of sports. And I think that's been, for me, the key to longevity and a more balanced body and less overuse injuries of one specific thing. And I know a lot of runners who find cycling because they have knee problems or foot problems. And so, I do always encourage people, no matter what age you are, to go try a different sport. Try archery, try whatever, because it's going to strengthen and develop a different part of your body.
Yep. I had Buddy Morris, who's the strength conditioning coach for the Arizona Cardinals, on here once. And he was talking about all these parents now, the thing to do is find what your kid is good at, then hire coaches and have them go to summer camps and all this. He said it's the worst thing you can do, having your kid focus on one sport.
Yeah.
He's like, the greatest athletes, still to this day, the kids that are going to end up being the All-American in college and end up being pro athletes are going to have played all sports. As many sports as possible. And that whole concept of being a specialist and being like only a lacrosse player or only a football player or only a basketball player, you're doing it. It's a detriment to your kid. So get them out there doing every single possible thing because it can add to their abilities in those other sports.
Well, and they may show promise in something that you didn't think they knew. Like, I was never supposed to be a bike racer. It was my worst sport in adventure racing. I hated it. I absolutely hated riding bikes. I was lousy at it. And here now it's become my main mode of transport and travel and a way to see the world. And so, you pigeonhole yourself if you think, oh, I suck at this one thing, I shouldn't do it. It's not the right answer. Some of my first 24-hour national championships that I won was one of my first 24-hour races. There was an article written about me that was titled Winning Ugly. And it was because I won the race, but I was jumping off my bike on the technical sections because I couldn't ride it. And, but I still could win the race. And so there's a lot to be said for passion and just wanting something over just a basic skill level.
When you do a 24-hour race like that, you sleep 0?
0, yeah. You don't sleep.
And
it's a lap format, so it's about a 20-mile lap. And so you're doing that lap over and over again. You've got an aid station at one spot, a pit crew, kind of like, NASCAR style or Formula One style, where you come through your pit crew, they've got food, pump up your tires, and off you go again.
You're riding 12 hours at night?
Yeah, you ride the whole time, and you don't stop, and you're eating on the bike, and constant movement is the key to it. But so I would win those races because I could keep moving, but not because I was a good bike rider in any way.
So give me some advice as I do I think if I average a 21-minute mile over the trail, I'll get it done in 24 hours. I know guys that have done it, and they just went over it. They're like, you'll be surprised. You take all these breaks, and the next thing it adds up, and you're behind schedule. 24 hours is going to be tough. And when I go out, I did 30 miles. I averaged 17-minute miles.
Yeah.
I walk the big hills, and then I run everything else.
Yeah.
And if it's a steep downhill, I walk it. But I'm worried about the sleep deprivation.
In 24 hours, it shouldn't hit you too much.
Really?
No, it really doesn't start to kick in until the second and third nights. So it's just everyone's done it in college. You pull an all-nighter. Yep. You drink a bunch of Red Bull. You stay up. You stay focused. And especially if you're excited about the goal and you're keeping your brain engaged of what's my average mile per hour? How am I doing? What hill is coming up? Your body can get through 24 hours just fine.
I've done
no big deal.
I've done 24-hour podcasts.
Yeah,
and
there
it's
you go.
fun. And the way I did it is the same way I fly. When I go to Australia a lot, and what I'll do is I'm like 15 hours on a plane. That's so boring. So before I go on, I create 15 different activities.
Oh.
So for an hour, I'm going to do this. An hour, I'm going to do this. An hour, I'm going to do this. And what happens is, I'll fall asleep for like an hour on the plane. I'm like, oh, now I don't have as much time. I got to hurry and get. By the time the plane lands, I'm like, wait, I have so many. I got to work on my act, and I have to. I didn't answer these emails, and I need to.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't have enough time, and it goes from being a boring 15-hour flight to action-packed, interesting. And so I was wondering if that's maybe how I should build the race.
I think it's a really good point, is that if your mind is engaged,
Right.
your body will happily keep going. And I think that's something that sort of a little bit of a misconception with ultra endurance, is that the people from the outside think that you're just like droning on, sleepy and this and that. But especially if it's a trail I like, it's technical, it's exciting. I'm like looking around, I'm seeing animals, at night.
Yeah.
And so it's more, if your mind is not engaged, that's when your body wants to shut down. And there'll be a point in the night. It's usually, for me, it's like the witching hour of like 4 a.m., just pre-dawn. That seems to be the hardest for people's like rhythms of their body. And so that 2 hours, you get a great podcast on, or you get some super good music, and you're just like, I'm gonna push through that. And then as soon as the sun comes up, your body wakes up. And your mind wakes up. So you shouldn't have serious sleep deprivation in just 24 hours. It's more like your mind wants to be lazy and wants to go to sleep, and you just have to not let it.
Okay. That was my only fear, was like, if I'm tired in 30 miles in this thing and out in the middle of the daytime, what am I going to be like 50, 60 miles in when, I'm bored of it and I've done. But that's why I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to run and you find running boring, go out on a trail, because your mind has to be active, because you have to watch every foot placement.
Right.
Because you can't step on a root and twist your ankle. You can't step on that rock that might flip over. So you have to know, and you have to look ahead. Are there snakes on the trail? Or there where I run, it's full of rattlesnakes. I've almost stepped on babies that'll get you. But the babies are the worst, and they look like a little twig.
Yeah.
And so you have to be alert the whole time.
Yeah, if you had to run on a treadmill for 24 hours, I'd be really worried about you. But the fact that you're running on a beautiful trail and you're going to, they're like,
you're welcome to come with us. November 22nd.
November 22nd.
November 22nd.
And that's thanks for raising money for the firefighters.
Yeah. I got to get on raising the money, though. In fact, I will have on the site the place where you donate, and it'll be on this episode, and the website will be up, and it's ready to go, and I can't joke around anymore and not do a good job on this. So I've been slacking a little bit, so I'm glad I talked to you that we can make this happen. And I found the charity, and I think it's out of Idaho, or some woman started a wildfire fighters thing for the families.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, this is boring, I'm tired, You think about who you're running for. That's going to give you a ton of motivation.
Yeah, but that also gave me Bell's palsy once. I did Murph, which is CrossFit has you've done Murph before?
I haven't done it. I know about it.
It's fun. I got to get Bobby to do it. I want to see how well Bobby could do it. But I did it one time, and I was fasting. And I woke up in the morning, I was like, I'll just keep my fast a little longer, and a little bit longer, and a little bit longer. And I was like, I better do this workout. So I went and did the workout, and I hadn't eaten in like 20 hours.
Oh, gosh.
And I tried to do it, run a mile, 100, 200, 300, run a mile. And right as soon as I hit the squats, I was like, I don't feel good. And then the next morning I woke up, and half my face was paralyzed. And it was out of, I just basically suppressed my immune system.
Yeah.
And I kept pushing by going, I feel like shit, and I should probably stop. But I kept going, hey, this guy, Michael Murphy, went and fought for, that I could live in America, and I can live, I gotta keep going.
You should have just eaten a sandwich is all that you did wrong.
I know. Michael Murphy would have eaten too.
He would have eaten a sandwich, yeah.
Your sister is a general in the Air Force?
She is a general in the Air Force.
How badass is that?
She's super badass.
So you've got both of you. And, I assume your father was a fighter pilot, a pretty badass guy himself.
Seems like he was.
Yeah. And So is that what got your sister into it, that she wanted to follow in his footsteps and get into the Air Force? And
what the story, it's been cool. After riding Blood Road, I've gotten to know my sister better and ask her about her service and like understand people who go into the military, because for a long time I was against the military because it's what took my dad. I'm totally against wars, and I didn't really understand my sister's commitment. And so Blood Road was an amazing way for us to open that conversation. And she didn't go in because of my dad. She went in through the dental corps at school to basically help with school funding. Sure. But she says she stayed in because my dad, because once she was in and she started to understand the service of the airmen and understand the commitment and sacrifice that people make, she felt like she needed to follow in his footsteps, and she felt a responsibility, and so she stayed, and now she's a general. And
that's crazy.
So she didn't get in because of him, but she stayed because of him.
Your family must be so proud, like the accomplishments of.
My mom did a good job. She's a single mom, and she raised a couple pretty fierce, high achievers, which is cool. And I mean, I'm grateful that this Blood Road thing actually it brought my family closer. Even though we were opening up old wounds, it had never been talked about. It's kind of like that re-breaking a bone so it can heal stronger. And it was 45 years after my dad's death, but it has brought my family closer, which is really cool.
I hope everyone that listens to this goes out and watches it. Is it on Netflix?
It's on Amazon Prime, it's on iTunes and Red Bull TV.
Okay.
And it's called Blood Road. BloodRoadFilm.com is where you can find it, or my website. And people can host a screening as a fundraiser for their fire department, or for their trails, or for
any fallen military.
Yeah, their veterans group. Yeah. And so it's been really great to take the film around now and use it as a resource for supporting other groups and that need funding, or that the story resonates with them.
It's so awesome. It's such an amazing story. And just everything you've accomplished. I mean, like I said, you've lived the life that I initially set out to do, and somehow ended up in stand-up comedy. And I think it's I'm just too big of a pussy. But I just don't. I'm
people need to laugh too, though. You're feeling definitely a need for people.
Yeah, I love what I do, and I always wanted to do what I do. But there has always been this sense of me, and it's great that I've kind of morphed the two together with my stand-up comedy, and thanks to CrossFit, it kind of brought me back into this world. I was always skiing and loved whitewater rafting and loved all these things, and ocean lifeguard. And when my comedy allowed me to parlay into that with CrossFit, that I started meeting these people again, because I started CrossFit when I was in my 30s, and I started meeting these people, and I was like, hey, I can still do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I have this ability to still do it. And then meeting amazing people, and then the podcast has kind of evolved into this, where I get to meet people like you and amazing people that have accomplished amazing things, and make me aware of what I'm capable of, and that I can kind of have the life that I've meshed the best of both worlds together.
Well, like I said earlier, storytelling is really important, and people, obviously, I think podcasts and things like that are so popular now because people want to hear good things. There's so much terrible stuff happening in our world, and there's a lot of pain and hurt, and people really want to hear good inspirational stories and how can they be their best.
Yeah.
And it's super important to shine a positive light.
Well, that's why I like doing this and talking to experts and talking to people that have accomplished incredible things, because I feel like I am helping people by I'm giving you the information. Like, people would want to know, like when I ask you what your training is, they look at you and go, how is she able to do all these things? And then they go, oh, she just, and then I can do this. Oh, okay, because she had the ability in this, she was able to go paddle down this river in Chile. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it makes, I think, the internet, we've expanded, and I look at the progression in everything.
Yeah.
Every kind of extreme sport to endurance sport to the progression is just endless, because we now have access to all this information of that we are limitless, and that human beings can accomplish amazing feats. So I'm glad that I can be this little tiny part that can facilitate giving the information to people. But I just thank you for doing what you do and being that beacon of eliteness that we need, that people see and go, okay, need to get out of my chair right now and get to work.
I have to look at people too and be like, okay, I need to train today. I need to get out of my work. I mean, we're all the same. I have days where I don't want to get up, or I don't want to go out on a run, or it's raining, or it's cold, and I can make an excuse. Elite athletes are not any different than anybody else in that aspect. So we all need motivation.
But you live here in the most beautiful, this is one of the most beautiful places in the world.
It is, and it's why I live here, because I am motivated by walking outside and walking my dogs every day and just looking out the window. There's definitely nature therapy for me. I need to be in this kind of atmosphere.
Sure, and that is, Bobby and Mary will talk about that all the time, about, if you're depressed or you have anxiety, get outside, get in the sun, get in the ocean, get in the rivers, get in the, climb, hike, walk, breathe, and guess what? That depression might go away.
It's healing. It's why I focus on, with my foundation, one of the things I focus on is protecting public lands, because they're so essential to our health and wellness, not only of our environment, but of the humans that inhabit it. And so it's a big part of, I do believe we all need to be able to go on a walk and go out into nature pretty regularly.
It's so frustrating when they start taking away national park land and anything, when they start developing. Where I live, they just keep developing, and I'm like, why are you doing this?
There's sanctuaries for health and wellness that we really need to protect.
It's I had one last question for you. Nutrition. Are you a freak?
I'm not a freak. I've dabbled. I've tried gluten-free. I've tried, this and that. And really, I've evolved into, I take a few supplements like magnesium and vitamin D and a probiotic. That's kind of it.
Yep.
But really, the main thing is I don't eat a lot I try to eat as little amount of packaged food as I can. My husband's a hunter, so we get our meat from, right from here.
What's your favorite?
Elk is
I
amazing.
knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, and so we don't buy store-bought meat. Friends of ours have eggs. I have a little garden I'm starting. I like to cook. But really, I try to just not buy a lot of packaged foods. It's hard when you travel.
Sure.
Absolutely. But
do you train a lot when you travel, or do you find yourself slacking?
When I travel, hopefully I'm traveling for a bike-related event.
So you have
and then I have my bike with me. But when I'm traveling for work that's not related, I always take a pair of running shoes and at the very least try to go out, even if it's in a big city, for a half an hour. And, you can always run or walk or do squats in your hotel room and push-ups. And so that's kind of the travel routine. Is fitting in what I can. I don't love hotel gyms, so I do prefer to just go outside and explore the environment if it's a cool place to run.
Right.
But that's the travel aspect. Absolutely.
I got two more questions.
Yeah.
One, when you're doing these long distance races, you're depleting your electrolytes like crazy. What are you doing? What's your source of electrolytes?
The electrolytes that I use GU Nutrition, and I'm a big fan of their branched chain amino acids.
Okay.
For ultra endurance events. So
amino acids while you're riding.
Yeah, and so the branched chain amino acids have separated out. There's a lot of amino acids in like a meat, a complete.
I know. Bobby's been making me take his complete
it.
amino acids. He won't shut them. I want to strangle him. He force-fed me with them. I don't know what he's doing right now. He's staring at me. How creepy is that?
And he's making noise on the podcast. I heard something about Bobby. We're talking about you.
We're talking about amino acids.
Yeah.
What is that thumping? Oh, the dog's scratching. He's force feeding me amino acids. So she uses branched chain amino acids when she rides.
There you go. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a complete protein or complete when you're actually exercising, it's a lot for your body to have to process. And so what?
They're already broken down.
Right. Exactly. So they're already broken down. So that's what GU has done, is taken out the branched chain amino acids, the ones that really help you buffer lactate, that really help you with endurance events, and gotten rid of the rest that's in a complete protein.
Okay.
So that, because your body, when you're doing ultra endurance sports, there's not a lot of blood in your stomach. You've asked the blood is in your legs, and so you need to think about simple digestion, only putting in the things that are going to serve you. Like if you ate a big hamburger in the middle of a run, you're not going to feel good. But if
I've heard some of these ultra athletes though eat like cheeseburgers or
as it goes on for
peanut butter
days
and
and
jelly
days, well, the nutrition changes. So if you're going from like doing a 24-hour event, I could eat Roctane, goo Roctane, and liquid calories and things like that for about up to 24 hours. For me personally, after that, you start to want and need solids. As it goes on 3 days, 4 days, you want to sit down and take a break and eat a meal. But what you need to do when you're doing that is know that the next couple hours, you're going to be a lot of your energy is spent digesting that meal. Mm-hmm. And so if it's a really long event, you have to do that. Yeah. And you have to take the time. And if you're going to take a nap, you eat right before you're going to sleep. And then your body can just work on digestion. So there's not a blanket formula. It depends on you, and it depends on how long you're going. But the basics are, the hydration, electrolytes, calories, branched chain amino acids. Those are kind of the 4 food groups, so to speak, in endurance athletic events. And then they expand beyond that based on how long, if it's cold, if it's hot, things like that.
Sodium? Do you take any sodium pills?
Yeah, that's in the electrolytes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way somebody has explained to me electrolytes, food science, is that the calories in the liquid, that's the gas that you put in the car. You have to have it. The electrolytes and the amino acids are like the oil that you have to put in your car. And so they run better with both. You need both, but you need a way smaller amount, obviously, of the electrolytes and the amino acids. And you can get some of that from food, but sometimes it's just an easier delivery system if it's in things like goo nutrition and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting. Well, that was very important that we got that. I know. I mean, because did you develop this yourself? Like throughout the years?
It's taken years. Yeah. I mean, I used to eat when I was event racing. I used to eat Cheetos and Swedish fish because I'm like, hilarious. I'm working so hard. I can eat whatever I want. And I've started to learn that it's something with aging. You learn as an athlete. You get smarter and learn that garbage in, garbage out. And if I put in something better, I'm going to get a better return on energy.
You are organizing a race coming up next week.
Next week.
I stole you away from your busy time. And I thank you so much for doing this because I know how busy you are. And so I'm going to try to close this up right now. But I want you to talk about the race so that if anyone... by the time this airs, the race will be over.
It'll be over, but we do it every year. This is year number 7, Rebecca's Private Idaho, and it's a long-distance gravel ride that I launched really to want to show people the beauty of Idaho and also support my community. And so, and it's a fundraising ride through my Be Good Foundation to provide access to more bikes, to more people.
Be Good was the phrase your father used.
Be Good is how my dad signed all his letters home from the Vietnam War, and so I've taken his words, his instructions to heart, and the name of the foundation is in his name. And we clear up unexploded ordnance in Laos. We help provide bikes for kids from Idaho to Africa, and protect public lands. Those are sort of the buckets that I'm working under right now with Be Good Foundation. But he's the one he basically is teaching me. He's teaching me now, even though he's not here physically. And the foundation was something really cool that came out of that Blood Road journey. So Private Idaho is a big part of our fundraising. And so
it's how far is the ride?
There's a 100-mile, 50 or 20-mile, or a 3-day stage race. So we keep adding distances, so there's something for everybody.
Sure.
So you're invited next year.
Okay, and it's a gravel road? When you say gravel, just like...
Gravel road, dirt roads.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to do that.
Like fire roads.
Yeah, fire roads. And because I wanted to provide access for everyone. I thought I might do a mountain bike event, but honestly, the dirt roads are accessible to anyone, any
Still
type
need
of
a mountain bike, though.
Oh, yeah, I ride my mountain bike all the time, but the event is all on dirt roads.
But I mean, most people that do this race are on a mountain bike, right?
No, they're on actually a kind of a new category of bikes, which is really cool, called gravel bikes. And so it's kind of a hybrid between a road bike and a mountain bike with like wider tires, but no suspension. And
what are the handlebars like?
The handlebars, most people are riding a drop bar, like a road type handlebar.
Wow.
Some people are riding flat bar. You're sort of seeing the lines between what a bike is being morphed with this gravel thing.
Wow.
It's cool.
Just another way to make biking more expensive.
Or fun. Like really, you can ride what you want. People ride fat bikes. People ride mountain bikes.
That's great,
people
though.
Ride the road bikes.
And so you'll ride which one?
I'll ride a gravel bike.
No,
yeah.
but I mean, which distance are you going to do? The 100?
Oh, I do the whole stage race, but I kind of social ride and high five and give hand up. So I'll be riding every day
and
with
everybody. And you've got 1,200
everybody.
people coming to do
1,200 people coming.
That's awesome.
It's cool, huh?
That's so cool. I'm so excited for that. And that goes on. What's the date this year?
Labor Day weekend. It's Labor Day every year. So you're invited for next year.
Wait, this might air before that. So
okay.
Can they still sign up for it?
Not race day, but yeah, you can sign up until, let's see, actually till Friday, which is tomorrow.
Friday. Oh, well, you're not going to be able to get involved.
Year.
But maybe next year.
We'll get you in next year.
We had, I think, I put it up late because, I didn't know if we were doing the podcast or anything. We had a few questions.
Cool.
And actually, Jeremy Lesniak, sorry, I asked one of your questions. And who else? A bunch over here. Let me see.
That's awesome. People wrote in.
Yeah, I just, right before, when I was waiting for you, I
only told you last night that I would come
and I just posted it this morning. Somebody's making fun of me. What would Eddie have to earn a red rainbow jersey at? Talking. Somebody wants to know, Nick Dog 85 wants to know if you've ever done the Hotter Than Hell 100 in Wichita Falls, Texas.
I haven't, but I've heard about it. And my biggest problem is there's too many awesome rides I want to do, and I get invited for rides all over the place, but I haven't done that one. I've heard it's great.
He's doing it Saturday. Well, good luck, Nick.
Right on, dude.
I hope you do well. And Matt Newell, who is a friend of the show, not just a fan, his friend. I call him a friend once I meet them and hang out with them, and he works for Specialized.
Oh, cool.
And he said he was really excited for you coming on. So
right on.
So
Thanks,
this has been awesome. Have you ever rode with Lance Armstrong?
I have ridden with Lance Armstrong. The first year that I won the Leadville Trail 100, he won the men's race and I won the women's race. So we actually shared a podium together. And,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What year was that?
That was 2009.
2009. Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. It was an honor to have you here. I hope everybody enjoys this and as much as I did. And please, 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 I'm going to Boise now, so I get to go sit in my hotel room. I get to watch the full movie now.
Oh, nice.
And it's great. And knowing that Ben produced it is great too. He works on some really interesting projects.
Yeah,
so,
he does.
This is awesome. It's been amazing. You're welcome to come run 20 or 68 miles with me. Walk, run, whatever I'm going to do. Haul my body across.
You'll make it.
Yeah,
I'll be watching.
I'm going to make it. I'm not giving
You'll
up.
make it.
I will drag my body to. I will crawl if I have to.
Yeah, you'll get
never
there.
Give up. But so check anywhere that they can find you. What's your
RebeccaRusch.com, and it's spelled RUSCH. It's my last name.
And your Instagram is
same. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They're all this Rebecca Rusch.
So send her a message that you heard her on the Wadcast and you enjoyed it. And if you like the show, go rate, review, comment on iTunes. That really helps the show. And come out and see me live. I have some dates coming up. I'm going to be in San Diego at the La Jolla Comedy Store coming up. I have Dallas, or Fort Worth, Texas, Reno, Nevada, Calgary, Canada. I'm all over. Go to eddieiff.com, see all my dates. Again, thank you, Rebecca. This is awesome.
I can't wait till you come back here. I want to see your show in person.
It was so much fun last night. I can tell it now because no one's going to know. But I mean, like here, Mrs. Argyros came to the show.
Oh, wow.
Who donated the theater.
Yeah.
And they were all so worked up about it, everybody that was there.
That's awesome.
That worked there. They were like, she's here. They called me the day before. We're worried about some of your material. Can you this, that? And it was great. And she was great. She was amazing. I made fun of her 1,000 times, and she just laughed. I said, you own this. I go, you could have driven your car up the stairs and parked it here if you wanted to. I go, you could do anything you want. And at one point, she stopped and she goes, they told me you were going to be a lot dirtier. And I said, who told you that? And she was great. So it was a great show. The Sun Valley community is incredible, and hopefully I'll be back in March.
Well, I'm excited to see the show then.
Thank you again for doing it.
Thank you.